everyone, my name is Jackie and welcome to my channel, Books, Board Games, and Ball Gowns. Today I'm doing my January wrap-up and my February TBR. What are you doing? Calliope came to say hi. Say hi, baby girl. Oh, my fluffy baby. Okay, go on. Go explore. Alright, so I'm going to start off with the books that I acquired during the month of January. So the first book that I got was Red Rising, first book of the Red Rising trilogy by Pierce Brown. Yes, Christy, I finally got this book. I will read it, I promise. The next two books that I got were A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I know, I'm way behind on this. The third book comes out later this month, and so I finally decided to pick these up so that I can finally get these read before the final book in the trilogy comes out. In my January Owl Crate box, I received Roseblood by A.G. Howard, which is a retelling of Phantom of the Opera. I also finally acquired Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I know I'm also really behind on this one. I'm very excited because I went to go order the books, and surprisingly this hardback edition was a little bit less expensive than the paperback, and to make it even better, it's a signed first edition. So you can see Jay Kristoff's signature in there. So I was very excited about picking this up. I also did get a new audiobook of The Call by Peter O'Geeling. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. And the final book that I acquired in January was A Monster Calls. I actually also received the movie soundtrack and this cute little coloring book with colored pencils, thanks to the wonderful Maureen Keevy, whose channel I will link to down below. She was kind enough to do a giveaway, and I was the lucky winner. So now I'm going to move on to books that I actually did read in January. I didn't hit all of the books that I intended to hit in my January TBR because some books got replaced by other books. But yeah, it happens. You know, sometimes you just don't feel like reading a certain book and you decide to read something else instead, and that is perfectly okay. So here are the books that I read in January. The first one, which I think I mentioned this in an earlier video, but I did read The Selection by Kira Cass. I actually started that on New Year's Day. So there's that one. I haven't read the rest of the books in the series. Those were on my January TBR, and like I said, they just got pushed to further back on the list because of other books that I got. So, sorry. But I will get to the rest of the books, I promise. I also read Replica by Lauren Oliver. This was a very interesting read because it is two books in one. It's Gemma and Lyra's stories, and when I went to go read this, I really wasn't sure how to tackle reading it since it is two stories in one. And I wasn't sure, you know, should I read one story and then the other? Should I flip-flop? And the author herself has said that you can read it however you can want. You can read all of Lyra and then all of Gemma. You can read all of Gemma and then all of Lyra. Or you can flip-flop in between chapters. Whatever you want to do. I decided to flip-flop in between chapters. It took a little getting used to of, okay, I'm reading a chapter and I have to put a bookmark in and flip it over and then read a chapter here, put a bookmark in and flip it. It took a little getting used to of doing that, but I'm actually very happy that I read the book that way because the stories do intertwine with each other, and so I think personally, at least for me, that was the best way to read it because there are things that happen in both stories, and so being able to see how the characters react to that at pretty much the same time really worked for me. So this was actually a very good book. I'm very happy that I got this and that I read it. So I would definitely recommend this one as well. And another book that I read, or rather listened to, was Grave Peril, which is the third book in the Dresden Files series by Jim Butcher. And I really enjoyed this one. I had heard from a couple of people, Cody in particular, that the third book is really where it picks up. And even at the beginning of the audiobook, before the reading actually started, Jim Butcher actually came on and said that he's even aware that the third book is where a lot of people consider it to pick up and just absolutely take off, and it definitely did. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. So if you have started the series and you're only on book 1 or 2 and you're not really sure, I recommend that you read through book 3 because it really is where it starts to really take off. Alright, the next book that I also listened to was The Call by Peter O'Gillion. This was a really good book. So the book takes place in Ireland, and adolescents are, without pretty much any warning, forced to go through what is referred to as the Call, where they are transported into the Grey Lands where the Sheila live, which the Sheila are fairy folk who were banished to the Grey Lands as part of a treaty. In the Grey Lands, they're there for about 24 hours and they have to survive. In our world, it's only 3 minutes and 4 seconds. There's not a really high survival rate, and so it follows the story of several kids at a survival college, training to try and survive the Grey Lands and survive the Call. And it's really great to follow these characters. So I really enjoyed this book a lot. The next book that I read was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I read this book in about 2 hours. As you can see, it's not a very thick book. It's a little over 200 pages long. So this was a phenomenal book. It gave me all of the feels. So if you are looking for something that is very moving and emotional and will very likely make you cry, this is your book. But I loved this. And the last book that I read in January was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And I have been meaning to get into this series for quite some time, and I finally just decided, I'm just gonna do it. The third book is coming out later this month, I believe on the 21st, so just gonna buckle down and do it. And I loved this. It was kind of funny and weird reading this story because the main character's name is Kel, and I actually have a very good friend whose name is Kel. Hey! And so it was kind of funny reading a character with the same name as one of your really good friends. So that was fun. And that brings me into my February TBR. First off, A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. And I especially need to finish this before the 21st, which should be no problem because that is when A Conjuring of Light comes out, which is also on my February TBR. Next on my TBR is another book that I acquired this month of Nevernight. I've heard so many good things about this book that I need to just read it. I really do. The next book on my February TBR is going to be Rose Blood, another book that I acquired this month. It's a retelling of The Phantom of the Opera, which is one of my favorite musicals ever. It's the only one that I've ever actually seen on Broadway. So I love Phantom. It's phenomenal. It's an amazing story, and I'm looking forward to seeing what A.G. Howard has done with the Phantom's world. And the final book on my February TBR is going to be Summer Night, which is the 4th Dresden Files book, and that one will also be an audiobook. So that wraps up my January wrap-up and my February TBR. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos. I truly, truly appreciate it, and I appreciate all of you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye! What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, they're attacking each other through the door. Oh, you ferocious.